Power works elevation of all resistance. I push through the pain to get to the power. I keep going to get this power. I knew that it was given to me by grace and to know my purpose. You get pushed through this pain to get to this power. That tends to give a divine scar, but the power gives you reinforcement. Pushing past the pain to let your voice be heard. Pushing past your fears to let your voice be heard. How much faith do you know to overcome your fears? You have blessing to someone to hear. There's a message in your words. There's a power in your voice. Keep pushing through your pain to keep that power. I keep my faith over fear to have the power in my voice to be heard. You have the power. You are resilient and you have the strength. Your voice is powerful and you need to know that you're powerful. Hold on to that power. Hold on to that power. Hold on to that power, which is the power in your voice. Use it to stand by grace. Use it to know your worth. And use it to be ready to show your knowledge. The power in your voice. A platform to be defined, which is inspiring, which is impeccable to give you knowledge, and which is a place for you to grow, to be walking in your purpose, being very amazing. The power in your voice. Hold on to that.
Hello. Thank you for tuning in to Your Power in Your Voice. This is your host, Sheena Gadine. Thank you for tuning in, as always, to get inspired, motivated, and educated. Today, we have Miss Lisa Pearce in the building. How are you doing today, Lisa?
I'm doing great.
That is awesome. Can you tell the people who you are and where you're tuning in from?
My name is Lisa Pearce, and I live in Byron, Georgia, which is just south of Macon, Georgia, where I grew up.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your story. I know I read that you are a survivor. So kind of give me a little backstory on how you became the best version of you now.
Okay. So in 2007, my 11-year marriage ended abruptly. There had been abuse along the way. And the last day in November, there was a situation that involved not only the local police department, but the SWAT team had to be called out. There was a gun involved, hostage situation with me and our 3 children. So it was totally unexpected. I did not have a good income. I was homeschooling my kids. It was the middle of the school year. And so I really was at rock bottom when all of that happened. And I was 36 years old. And I just, want to tell people out there who may be going through something where it looks hopeless, you can rebuild your life. Material things are just that. They're material things. It wasn't easy. We didn't have food. We were about to be, without a home. He had went to jail. He had lost his insurance license. He was no longer working and he couldn't come around us. So I had to put my kids in public school in the middle of the school year. They didn't know anyone. And I had to figure out where to move to. I couldn't afford where we were at. And today I'm 53 years old. I have a house that's paid for. I have a car that I purchased brand new that's paid for. And so I just want to encourage anyone who is possibly in a situation that is looking financially bleak, that with God, all things are possible. And so I don't consider myself a victim, because when you have a victim mentality, that leads nowhere. It's just a downhill slope, and you cannot remain a victim. You need to overcome with God, and God is going to build you up. God is going to be there with you. And, the Bible tells us he's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. He's always there, and he carries our burdens. He lightens our load, just like the Footprints poem where it says, I saw one set of footprints because he was carrying me. So I just want to be an encouragement tonight for anybody that is going through some sort of hardship. And I can tell you that with God, you can rebuild, and material things are just that. And it doesn't take a lot in life to be happy.
Absolutely. So, what do you think was your defining moment to know that you had enough and it's just you couldn't do it anymore?
I had known for probably the last year things got worse. They escalated. The physical abuse had become a lot more frequent and a lot more severe. The controlling behavior. I was cut off from money. I had no idea how much money we even had. I wasn't allowed to carry a debit card. I had to ask for money, and it was always cash. I couldn't overspend it at all. I knew I needed out, but I couldn't figure out how. I had 3 small children that required childcare. I'd never been to college a day in my life. So I was also afraid of him, and I just couldn't see how I could leave. But when the police got involved, then it became more than just about me. The judge at that time, he told me, he said, you and your children's blood is not going to be on my hands. And it was like I had tried to hide it from everybody. I didn't want to know. But the funny thing about it was once people knew, then it was easier to get away and stay away because there was so much support out there, and that was how I got out. I had people telling me, if you go back, he's going to kill you the next time. You cannot go back to him. And I was torn because of the children. I felt like, well, we need to be together. We're a family. This is their dad. But then on the flip side of that, do I want them growing up thinking that this is okay when it's not? Are they I have 2 daughters and a son. And, I thought, do I want my daughters married to a man like this? Do I want my son to end up becoming a man like this or married to a woman like this? So I had a really good friend, and she told me, she said, I can't tell you what to do, but she said, whatever you decide, you're making a decision for 3 other lives. And so I knew that I just could not go back to him. And the support of everyone around me is what helped keep me from going back, because so many women go back statistically. And so many women who do come out of that, they end up in the same situation with just a different person, which I was blessed because I did not, follow that path. I have a very good Christian husband that God blessed me with. So again, just encouragement for someone who is in a bad situation, relationship, man or woman, and you know that you don't need to be in it and you're not safe. You can get out.
Absolutely. So I see that you take your voice back, and I seen that you're a co-author of a book called Thrive Her. Am I correct? Or Thriving Her. Am I correct?
It's part of ThriveHer. That is like
Okay.
a copyright, and the book title is The Blueprint of a ThriveHer.
Okay.
ThriveHer with a capital H. And so Sonia McKenzie is the one who actually coined that word, ThriveHer, and she's the visionary for the book. And there's 12 of us. We each have a chapter, and we're all females. And the common theme, it may not be domestic violence in every chapter. We each write our own chapter, but it's some sort of adversity or trauma or just something, a stronghold maybe that they were dealing with. And we're all Christians, and we all overcame what we were going through with God's help. And, when you read God's word, God doesn't see us like we do. And, he sees us as valuable, and he sees us as worthy. And a lot of times when we don't see ourselves the way God sees us, we settle for less, or we don't think that, we deserve goodness, but we do.
Absolutely. So during this process of writing the chapter in that book and becoming the best version of yourself, what do you feel that you learned about yourself?
Well, I was a people pleaser. Um, and so a lot of times abusers seek out people pleasers. And, you hear the phrase walking on eggshells. That's how my life was every day. And that's not love. That's not happiness. That's not how life should be. And you're better by yourself than with someone who's bringing you down, in a toxic relationship. And so I realized I was a people pleaser. Um, I realized that I didn't think I deserved nice things because over the years he had brainwashed me. For instance, with the money situation, I needed a winter coat. I did not even have one. The one I had just like fell apart. And he had a job. I mean, we didn't have a lot of money coming in, but we had enough money. I should have been able to like at least go to Goodwill and buy a coat. And I was told, well, since you don't work, you don't really need a coat because if we spend money on that, it's going to take away from something the kids need. And so I would believe that. And looking back, I see that, that's not a healthy relationship. That's not a healthy thought process. But there was a lot of situations like that where I would just do without. I went without medical care. I had a kidney stone attack. It lasted 24 hours. I was just throwing up and it wouldn't stop. He didn't want to take me to the ER because he said that would be a medical bill in his name. So he actually called his best friend to come pick me up and take me down there. And when the nurse asked, like, how long has this been going on? You're so sick. And I told her 24 hours. She said, come on now, it can't be 24 hours. Nobody would wait that long. And I was too embarrassed to tell her what was going on at home. And so that was another situation where, I could have died. Like my kidney was blocked off to the point that part of the tissue died. And I had kidney stones for years and years, and I just never got it resolved because, he didn't think that I was worthy of having medical care. And to think about the fact that, we're not living in some third world country. Like, Macon's a big town and doctors everywhere. But I was just so brainwashed. It was like a mind control thing over the years of being told, well, that's going to be a problem if you need that, or that's going to be a problem. And so I just learned to do without, keep my mouth shut. And now I'm not like that because I realize that that's not healthy.
Absolutely. So what steps did you take for, any future people that might be going through this? What steps did you take to get your mindset changed? Because, when you're brainwashed and you're dealing with this trauma, it's not going to happen overnight to become the potential of who you are now. So what steps did you take that could help them in their steps of growth to becoming a better version of themselves?
Well, I surrounded myself with Christian people. When I told them about my story and my past, people would say things like, I'm glad you got out of that. That's terrible. You didn't deserve to be in that. And it took a lot of time. Like you said, it wasn't an overnight thing. And then my husband now, he's a Christian man. He got us back into church because I had got away from church. And so getting back into church gave me a big support system. And he's a big support. I mean, he doesn't have a mean bone in his body. And so when I would tell him, like my ex-husband, he would keep tabs on me, calling me constantly, where you at now? What time are you going to be back? And so my husband now, when he wouldn't do those things, I thought, well, isn't he worried about me? And that's not what it was, you know. If I went to the grocery store and I'd say I'll be back in an hour, and I might be gone an hour and 15 minutes, he wouldn't call. He wasn't worried about 15 minutes. And I said, well, you know, what if something happened? And he's like, well, do you want me to act like your ex-husband and keep tabs on you? And I was like,
Right.
no, I realize now what I'm doing here.
Yeah, because your mind was so used to how it was. It's like you had to reprogram how you react to certain things because he was a different person. So I get it.
Yes, yes.
And sometimes we have to remember that the mindset change and our values and our structures change because we're with different people and we became a different person after that.
Yes. And I think too, with reading the Bible, doing that over and over and over and just filling your mind with how God sees you, you just have to do that a lot. You can't stop. You have to constantly fill yourself with positive affirmations and claim God's promises. And he does transform us. He renews our mind, it says in the Bible. And it's just, he makes you a new creation, but you got to keep feeding the Bible into you. You can't just read it and be like, oh, I know what it says, and stop. Because, we fight a spiritual battle constantly. The devil doesn't like it when you experience freedom and you get out of a bondage type relationship. So you got to constantly feed yourself with God's word. And then you start to realize, well, this is how God sees me, so I am worthy. Like if I was the only person alive, Jesus would have still died for me and me only. And everybody needs to tell themselves that, because it's the truth.
Absolutely. Was there a particular affirmation that you used during your process of healing?
There was a lot. I say, with God, all things are possible. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not into thine own understanding, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Jesus came to give us life and life more abundantly, not, to put a restriction on us, but to free us up and bless us and us grow. And so there's just so many affirmations that I pull out of the Bible. Let's see, in David, in the where it talks about he was the short one out of the brothers. They were looking for a king. They didn't think it would be him. And, Saul was after him, and he was after him for so long, and God just protected him. And I think that's how God pursues us, and he protects us. He protected me that night when all of that happened with the SWAT team and my kids. So a lot of times I think we don't realize what God's doing. He's there and he's already doing it, but we're just blind to it. Sometimes we just need to open our eyes and see it.
Absolutely. So what is in the Thrive future for you? Like, what's next?
Well, I'm thinking about writing another book, and I'm in the process of writing a big book that goes into detail of my whole story, because so many people are like, well, marry somebody like that. But of course, nobody's like that when you first meet them. They know that they've got to put up this front, and they slowly draw you in. So I go up into detail about that. That book's not finished because it's very long. But people have even asked, how could you marry a man and trust a man after a man did you like that? But, people are all different. And I think God gives you discernment. I think the Holy Spirit leads you with people. So that's the big book I'm working on. I work part-time at, I guess it's okay to say on here where I work. I work at a restaurant, Waffle House. I think most people know what that is.
Listen, I'm originally from South Carolina. Those some good
Oh.
food. Good food. Yeah, I'm in New York now, but I'm originally from South Carolina, so I know all about the Waffle House. That's my spot. That's the
Well, I
first
was
place
a
I
manager.
go when I come down there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I was a manager for Waffle House for many years. I've got 19 years with the company. And I finally, once we paid off the house, I quit being a manager 2 years ago. And I work part time. Sometimes I'm a waitress, sometimes I'm a cook. Today, this week, I'm filling in for my super manager. Um, so I've tried to cut back on my employment job in order to grow my
There
writing
we go.
career because that's where my passion is. And I feel like with a book, you have such a large audience that you can reach. Um, it's
It's
almost
a
like,
lot you can do with a book because from the
yeah,
book you can then make it so many different things you can make from the book. Seeing coming a speaker, you can create your own workbook for your own brand, your own platform. So yeah, you can
yeah.
actually trademark your name, Miss Lisa Pearce.
Yeah, I could. It's a
Yeah,
good idea.
and make it the Lisa Pearce brand and everything that comes up under it. It's all about what you're trying to do and how you're trying to move forward of using your voice. you
Yeah.
know. And I applaud you for everything that you're doing and from where you came from to show your kids that, hey, I was here, but we're here now. And, there are a lot of people that go back because of finances or because they're scared or fearful and these
Yeah.
things. And yeah, when people are asking these questions about, oh, well, how did you marry this person? They forget that people put a face on. And see, with my brand, I call it the mask. People put another mask on to show you, the real you in. And,
Hmm.
they put on that facades. So I
Yes.
commend you to being the one that left out safely with your kids and you're still here because there's a lot of them that did not make it.
Yes. Yes. That's very sad and very true. It happens all too often when I look at the news. I mean, seems like it's more and more frequent.
Yeah, it gets worse. And like, it got even worse like when COVID came when they were stuck in the house with their abuser because then they had nowhere to go and they were literally there in the house. So
Mm.
it just like extremely got more because where was they gonna go and how was they gonna sneak out and how was they gonna be able to escape the situation? So we got a lot more work to do.
Yes, we do. We do. And especially law enforcement. Some places don't have the support. I had a good support system where I live, but I know I'm on a Facebook page and I see ladies around the country where they can't get the police to help them.
It's crazy because sometimes they are like they look at the situation and sometimes abuse is not physical. So
Yes.
when they're going and talking the emotional, the verbal, the spiritual, and all the financial abuse, they
Yeah.
don't see it and they don't take it as seriously as they need to. And that's sometimes is a harm to the women that are out there or the men or whoever that's fighting for the situation that they're dealing with.
Hmm.
Because I know, like with me, I've had the experience to where I had a restraining order, and it was almost like just a piece of paper. So it was
Yes.
like, in your head, it makes you think, well, why am I even having it or going through this process if it's not going to do anything?
Right.
But when I go do my talks, I let them know, like, listen, you still need to go through the process. So you have the trail, you put the paperwork down, you make sure you fight and advocate for what's going on with you, even if it's not visible to the people. Stand
Mhm.
true into what's going on with you. So you let them make them acknowledge you are a person and this is what's going on.
Yes.
Because they will just some police stations they will shrug you off like it's well. Because I
Mm.
was told, why didn't I just change my number? And I said, why do I have to change my number if I have a restraining order? It's a full restraining order says no contact. That means they supposed to go get arrested.
Yes.
So we, like I said, we got a lot of work to do. And I'm commending you. I love that you're writing your bio and telling your story and being, that strength and that mouth for the people that can't talk. Have you
Mhm.
come up with the title to your book that you're for your memoir, or You still a thought and process title wise.
It's called Waffles, Horses, and Jesus. Because those
Okay.
are three big things in my life.
Right. Hey, listen. Do you foresee when you think you're probably gonna publish it, or is just still a work in progress? Not sure. It's just coming soon.
I'm hoping by the end of the year.
Okay. Okay. I love it. I love it. Now, are you going to self-publish? Are you going through the transitional way, or what's your thought process on what are you going to do as far as your career?
I'm really not sure. When I was looking into the different options to publish, that was when I saw that Sonia McKenzie, who was friends with me on Facebook, had put a post out about wanting co-authors. So I said, well, hey, I can do this and kind of see how it works.
Yo,
And so that's why I'm still not sure how I'll do my book. But
got
it's been a very interesting, very rewarding experience working with those ladies on this book. So I
I
look forward.
and with your chapter, because I've been in about 38 other projects besides the 6 that I wrote myself. So a lot of times I take my project and with my chapter, I then make it a speaking point. So whereas like I had a one that says it didn't break me. So I made that a speaking engagement from my chapter,
Mm-hmm.
because then you're still telling your story, because I talk about my domestic violence, and you know I take the chapters that I write in different books, and I make them a speaking engagement, even if I create my own speaking engagement and create my own table, which creates your own brand.
Oh, I see. Yeah, we need to talk more about
I
that.
got you. I got you. After the show, we can chat. I got you.
Good.
So, with you, pursuing writing, and you said it's your passion. What made it so passionable? Like, was it the process of what you went through that gave you the passion for it, or did you always know that you wanted to be a writer?
I've always liked to write. Like even as a child, I would just write things for fun. And then when all of that happened, I was thinking I would love to like do speaking engagements, but I never was able to actually get involved with doing that. So then when I thought, well, why not just put it in a book? And it just all made sense.
Absolutely. But that is being that you want to be a speaker, that's a perfect way to start, because when you got a product, you can then take the product and make it a part of what you're trying to do to get where you're going.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a great, because as you say, you want to do the writing, you want to do the speaking, and you make it your brand. The Lisa, like, go back to the Lisa Pearce brand. So I love what you're doing. Is there any last remarks or any inspiring words you would like to leave for anybody out there that may be going through something, a certain situation, and don't know what to do?
I would say, if you're in danger, then, and I always say this, leave with the shirt on your back. Everything else is material, it can be replaced. You have to be smart about it. I wouldn't, if he's checking your phone, then don't text somebody that you're leaving on this date because he's going to see that. I mean, maybe you just need to find out where a shelter is, find out ahead of time that you can go on this day, and then go. And do not go back. Do not go back. Like if you're leaving, there's a reason. There's no reason to ever go back.
Absolutely. Can you tell the people how to connect with you, how to purchase your book, and how to say if they want you on a podcast and to speak?
So I only have Facebook right now. And on Facebook, my name is Lisa Pearce, just like I guess it's showing on the screen. The last name is Pearce. Um, if you want to get the book, The Blueprint of a ThriveHer, which is scheduled to come out in the end of this month on the ebook, and then next month as hardback, paperback, you can go to my page and there's posts on there about it as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lisa, it's been an honor to have you here at the Power in Your Voice because, as we can see, you are thriving and using that voice out there and telling the world all about it. Keep doing it, keep advocating, and keep shouting it out loud. Don't go back. Hashtag, you deserve to be loved.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Don't go anywhere. We can have some chit chats in a second about the things that you would like to know. I'm going to do my outro. And as always, everyone, I have been your host, Sheena Goodine, better known as the lady behind the mask. You know, you can find me on Facebook at Sheena Goodine. You can find me on Instagram at the lady behind the mask 22. You can always hit my website, which is www.sheenaunmaskingmotivations.com. I am here to educate, motivate, and inspire. It's been great. I'll see y'all next week. Life struggles. When life tries to fight you back, you have to be ready to fight back. You have to be ready to stand your ground and be able to. Fortunately, life is and bold. We learned that there are people that do not want to see you rise. They rather see you